Okay, so next stage of the next project on the Sportster is a slight change away from where I had intended to be. I had thought about the forks or the other project, but one of the ongoing issues that I've had with the bike is a lack of top end. On the motorway it typically will do 80, 85 on a good day, when overtaking of course, and that's it. It absolutely won't go any quicker, which is at least 20 miles under its normal top speed, and there are a number of possible causes for this, one of which is the fact that it's running a points ignition, and I don't know how well that was installed, but I do know when the engine was rebuilt that would have been checked, the actual timing would have been set, so that all should be fine. I did wonder whether or not it was the throttle cable adjustment, and checking it yesterday, indeed there was room on the throttle wasn't actually hitting the max stop, so I adjusted it up, with the result that I got more movement on the carburetor, but the cable's stuck, probably because they've sat this way for quite a long time and there's just corrosion. So today I took the cables off, and with a quick reminder from the ever useful Del Boys Garage videos on oiling cables, I gave them an oil up and freed them off quite nicely, reinstalled them, and because it was to the point where when you open the throttle it stayed open, it didn't close, so I reinstalled them, and on their minimum settings the throttle closes very nicely, but the moment I started to adjust the cables out, it stuck. And this time I actually adjusted them because I'd taken the air cleaner off in order to remove the cables. I was actually watching the throttle butterfly, and this time I set it to max so that it was actually fully open, which is where it should be, and now the cable's really stiff. So given I've lubed the cables, I think it's time for new cables. The other thing is that the vacuum slide was not sliding, which is the other potential cause of the lack of top speed. When I've brought it up on the forums before, those are the two questions people ask is, is the throttle cable properly adjusted so you're actually running at max throttle, and B, does the vacuum slide? So given I know that the throttle cables didn't make a difference, because I didn't get them to max but I got them to close yesterday, and when I took it on the motorway it wouldn't go over 80, which is a little bit slower than it was before, so this time I've had it running with the air cleaner off, and indeed the vacuum slide does not slide. So I'm probably going to show that in a moment because I need to take the actual carb off. So let's have a look and dig into the carb. Okay, so here's the air cleaner cover removed, and one thing you'll note is, being a Sportster Sport, it comes from the factory with a K&N filter. There's a vacuum slide. Now with the throttles fully adjusted, so here I go, so it's really stiff to turn now, it's at max, and it's stuck. So it has to be physically, and it is quite hard work to actually turn it back. So that's just not going to work. But that actually does open. Now, looking in here, accelerator pump works quite nicely, if I can do that. So plenty of fuel slowing in there. The vacuum slide slides up and down perfectly well, and that's fuel dripping off the butterfly. Now if I open this fully open, and it's now fully open, I can see that, well, you may not be able to see that well, is that, see if I can get it adjusted. Right, the butterfly is actually fully open. Now I notice that there's a fair bit of wobble on the vacuum slide. I don't know whether that's normal. I guess that's something I may find out. So now let's see if I can start the bike and see whether or not that vacuum slide actually slides. I'm just going to stop it while I start it, and I probably won't be able to say anything because it'll be really noisy. Okay, so no movement in the vacuum slide at all with revs. So it's fair to assume there's probably a tear in the diaphragm slide or similar, and the only way to find out is to pull the carb. But I've got to pull the carb to change throttle cables anyway, because you simply can't get to them. Tucked back here, I can do it without my getting in my own shadow. You might get the front one off, which is the actual throttle pull cable, but the return cable is hidden over the back, and there's absolutely no way in there without removing the carb. So that's where we're going. Okay, so I finally figured out some of the issues with the bike. First was sorting out the actual throttle cables, which were wrong cables. Explains why I was having so much issue attempting to get full throttle with it. As it is, currently the return cable is off the bike, leaving me with just a throttle cable, which isn't a great thing. It's okay, it's sort of emergency riding, whatever, but as it stands you can over close the throttle, which can be a bit disconcerting. But anyway, as is, I'm not sure I can be able to show you this, because the vacuum slide here now actually has a vacuum to it, which it didn't before. Now the throttle actually fully opens. So I can't really show you this because I need to put you on a tripod and then use two hands. But anyway, the throttle now actually fully opens, a butterfly back there. As you can see, it's fully closed at the moment. So that now works, but also the throttle slide actually goes up when you open the throttle, which is how it should be. The diaphragm was a bit damaged on the corner, but cleaning out the groove and reseating it, I think there's just enough vacuum in there. Probably not good enough for the long term. There's probably a bit of a vacuum leak up in there, so it's probably not working fantastically. But for today, it'll work fine. So let's just see if I can start the bike and just check that throttle slide is still working. So, throttle slide's working, massive increase in power on the bike. It's actually like riding a 1200 for once, instead of like a 600. Accelerates quite nicely, so very happy with it. Haven't had it on an open road yet, but so I can't confirm that the top speed issue is gone, but I strongly suspect it is, and I guess we'll find out. There are more changes on the way for the fueling system, so hopefully I'll have a video on that up shortly. Looks like my, oops, I'm just looking at the elbow on that carb has completely rotted off. Have to sort that. It's absolutely shot. Now I need a new elbow. Yeah, okay, another item to fix. Yeah, so anyway, there's a change to the actual fueling system coming through in the works, so that'll be another video, hopefully soon. Throttle cables are on order from Harley. Apparently they're in stock in Belgium, so they'll work their way here in due course, maybe in a week. I'm fingers crossed they might turn up by the weekend, but I'm really doubting it. So as it stands, we are where we are, and moving on. Thanks very much for watching. I'll catch up with you soon.